Everybody with your heart, Haribol. Together, everybody, Haribol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances, so wish Sri Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our evening Bhagavad Gita circle reading program. We are just starting into Bhagavad Gita chapter 4 verse 2, and the chapter is entitled The Transcendental Knowledge, and it will be read and explained to us by His Grace Balabhadra Bhattacharya Prabhu from ISKCON Atlanta. Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
And it's all yours, Prabhu.
Thank you. Namo Vishnu Vadaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaudavana Pacharne Nivishesha Shunyavadi Paschatade Starne Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Go Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bhagavad Gita chapter 4, starting with text number 2. Evam parampara praptam imam rajasyo vidhu sakalene ha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. Purport. It is clearly stated that the Gita was especially meant for the saintly kings because they were to execute its purpose in ruling over the citizens. Certainly, Bhagavad Gita was never meant for the demonic persons who would dissipate its value for no one's benefit and would devise all types of interpretations according to personal whims. As soon as the original purpose was scattered by the motives of the unscrupulous commentators, there arose the need to reestablish the disciplic succession. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment, also there are so many editions of the Gita, especially in English, but almost all of them are not according to authorized disciplic succession. There are innumerable interpretations rendered by different mundane scholars, but almost all of them do not accept the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, although they make a good business on the words of Sri Krishna. This spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Supreme. Since there is a great need of an edition of the Gita in English, as it is received by the Parampara, disciplic succession system, an attempt is made herewith to fulfill this great want. Bhagavad Gita, accepted as it is a great boon to humanity. But if it is accepted as a treatise of philosophical speculations, it is simply a waste of time. Text number 3. Sevayam maya tejya yoga prokta parantapa bhakto sime sakha cheti rahasyam hetar uttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary on the Gita, following in the footsteps of Arjuna, is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demonic, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, text number 4. Aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvata katam etad vijaniyam twam ado proktavan iti. Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? Purport. Arjuna is an accepted devotee of the Lord. So how could he not believe Krishna's words? The fact is that Arjuna is not inquiring for himself, but for those who do not believe in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or for the demons who do not like the idea that Krishna should be accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For them only, Arjuna inquires on this point, as if he were himself not aware of the personality of Godhead or Krishna. As it will be evident from the 10th chapter, Arjuna knew perfectly well that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the fountainhead of everything and the last word in transcendence. Of course, Krishna also appeared as the son of Devaki on this earth. How Krishna remained the same Supreme Personality of Godhead, the eternal original person, is very difficult for an ordinary man to understand. Therefore, to clarify this point, Arjuna put this question before Krishna so that he himself could speak authoritatively. That Krishna is the supreme authority is accepted by the whole world, not only at present, but from time immemorial. And the demons alone reject him. Anyway, since Krishna is the authority accepted by all, Arjuna put this question before him in order that Krishna would describe himself without being depicted by the demons, who always try to distort him in a way understandable to the demons and their followers. It is necessary that everyone, for his own interest, know the science of Krishna. Therefore, when Krishna himself speaks about himself, it is auspicious for all the worlds. To the demons, such explanations by Krishna himself may appear to be strange because the demons always study Krishna from their own standpoint. But those who are devotees heartily welcome the statements of Krishna when they are spoken by Krishna himself. The devotees will always worship such authoritative statements of Krishna because they are always eager to know more and more about him. The atheist, who consider Krishna an ordinary man, may in this way come to know that Krishna is superhuman, that he is Satchidananda Vigraha, the eternal form of bliss and knowledge, that he is transcendental, and that he is above the domination of the modes of material nature and above the influence of time and space. A devotee of Krishna, like Arjuna, is undoubtedly above any misunderstanding of the transcendental position of Krishna. Arjuna's putting this question before the Lord is simply an attempt by the devotee to defy the atheistic attitude of persons who consider Krishna to be an ordinary human being, subject to the modes of material nature. Text number 5. Bahuni me vyatitani janmani tava charjuna tanyaham veda sarvani natvam veda parantapa. The personality of Godhead said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. Purport. In the Brahma Samhita 533, we have information of many, many incarnations of the Lord. It is stated there, Advaitam Machutam Anadim Anantarupam Ajam Purana Purusam Navajovanam Cha Vedeshu Durlabam Adurlabam Atma Bhakto Govindamari Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda, Krishna, who is the original person, absolute, infallible, without beginning. Although expanded into unlimited forms, he is still the same original, the oldest, and the person, always appearing as a fresh youth. Such eternal, blissful, all-knowing forms of the Lord are usually not understood by even the best Vedic scholars, but they are always manifest to pure, unalloyed devotees. It is also stated in the Brahma Samhita 539, Ramadi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tistan Nanavataram Akaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumam Yo Govindamari Purusham Damaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda Krishna, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead, known as Krishna, and who incarnates personally also. In the Vedas also, it is said that the Lord, although one without a second, manifests himself in innumerable forms. He is like the Vaidurya stone, which changes color, yet still remains one. All those multi-forms are understood by the pure, unalloyed devotees, but not by a simple study of the Vedas. Vedeshu durlabam adurlabam atma bhakto. Devotees like Arjuna are constant companions of the Lord. And whenever the Lord incarnates, the associate devotees also incarnate in order to serve the Lord in different capacities. Arjuna is one of these devotees. And in this verse, it is understood that some millions of years ago, when Lord Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita to the sun god Vivaswan, Arjuna, in a different capacity, was also present. But the difference between the Lord and Arjuna is that the Lord remembered the incident, whereas Arjuna could not remember. That is the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Lord. Although Arjuna is addressed herein as the mighty hero who could subdue the enemies, he is unable to recall what had happened in his various past births. Therefore, a living entity, however great he may be in the material estimation, can never equal the Supreme Lord. Anyone who is a constant companion of the Lord is certainly a liberated person, but he cannot be equal to the Lord. The Lord is described in the Brahma Samhita as infallible, achyuta, which means that he never forgets himself, even though he is in material contact. Therefore, the Lord and the living entity can never be equal in all respects, even if the living entity is as liberated as Arjuna. Although Arjuna is a devotee of the Lord, he sometimes forgets the nature of the Lord. But by the divine grace, a devotee can at once understand the infallible condition of the Lord, whereas a non-devotee or a demon cannot understand this transcendental nature. Consequently, these descriptions in the Gita cannot be understood by demonic brains. Krishna remembered acts which were performed by him millions of years before, but Arjuna could not, despite the fact that both Krishna and Arjuna are eternal in nature. We may also note herein that a living entity forgets everything due to his change of body. But the Lord remembers because he does not change his Satchidananda body. He is Advaita, which means there is no distinction between his body and himself. Everything in relation to him is spirit, whereas the conditioned soul is different from his material body. And because the Lord's body and self are identical, his position is always different from that of the ordinary living entity, even when he descends to the material platform. The demons cannot adjust themselves to this transcendental nature of the Lord, which the Lord himself explains in the following verse. Text number 6. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanam ishoro san prakritim swam adhisthaya sambhuvam yatmam hayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Wow. Purport. The Lord has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth. Although he may appear like an ordinary person, he remembers everything of his many, many past births, whereas a common man cannot remember what he has done even a few hours before. If someone asks what he did exactly at the same time one day earlier, it would be very difficult for a common man to answer immediately. He would surely have to dredge his memory to recall what he was doing exactly at the same time one day before. And yet, men often dare to claim to be God or Krishna. One should not be misled by such meaningless claims. Then again, the Lord explains his prakriti, or his form. Prakriti means nature, as well as swarupa, or one's own form. The Lord says that he appears in his own body. He does not change his body, as a common living entity changes from one body to another. The conditioned soul may have one kind of body in the present birth, but he has a different body in the next birth. In the material world, the living entity has no fixed body, but transmigrates from one body to another. The Lord, however, does not do so. Whenever he appears, he does so in the same original body by his internal potency. In other words, Krishna appears in this world, this material world, in his original eternal form, with two hands holding a flute. He appears exactly in his eternal body, uncontaminated by this material world. Although he appears in the same transcendental body and is Lord of the universe, it still appears that he takes his birth like an ordinary living entity. And although his body does not deteriorate like a material body, it still appears that Lord Krishna grows from childhood to boyhood and from boyhood to youth. But astonishingly enough, he never ages beyond youth. At the time of the Battle of Kurukshetra, he had many grandchildren at home. Or, in other words, he had sufficiently aged by material calculations. Still, he looked just like a young man, 20 or 25 years old. We never see a picture of Krishna in old age because he never grows old like us, although he is the oldest person in the whole creation, past, present, and future. Neither his body nor his intelligence ever deteriorates or changes. Therefore, it is clear that in spite of his being in the material world, he is the same unborn eternal form of bliss and knowledge, changeless in his transcendental body and intelligence. Factually, his appearance and disappearance are like the sun's rising, moving before us, and then disappearing from our eyesight. When the sun is out of sight, we think that the sun has set. And when the sun is before us, before our eyes, we think the sun is on the horizon. Actually, sun is always in its fixed position. But owing to our defective, insufficient senses, we calculate the appearance and disappearance of the sun in the sky. And because Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are completely different from that of any ordinary common living entity, it is evident that he is eternal, blissful knowledge by his internal potency, and he is never contaminated by material nature. The Vedas also confirm that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is unborn, yet he still appears to take his birth in multi-manifestations. The Vedic supplementary literatures also confirm that even though the Lord appears to be taking his birth, he is still without change of body. In the Bhagavatam, he appears before his mother as Narayan with 4 hands and the decorations of the 6 kinds of full opulences. His appearance in his original eternal form is his causeless mercy, bestowed upon the living entities so that they can concentrate on the Supreme Lord as he is, and not on mental concoctions or imaginations, which the impersonalists wrongly think the Lord's form to be. The word Maya or Atma Maya refers to the Lord's causeless mercy, according to the Vishva Kosha dictionary. The Lord is conscious of all his previous appearances and disappearances, but a common living entity forgets everything about his past body as soon as he gets another body. He is the Lord of all living entities because he performs wonderful and superhuman activities while he is on this earth. Therefore, the Lord is always the same absolute truth and is without differentiation between his form and self, or between his quality and body. A question may now be raised as to why the Lord appears and disappears in this world. This is explained in the next verse. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
That was a wealth of information, Prabhu.
Totally.
Totally. It was like a download. Thank you so much for reading. He was really sweet. Just hearing you read about Krishna and his appearance, his disappearance, his, 20 to 25 years, like Prabhupada said, and he had grandchildren. It was so sweet just to hear and really meditate on that. So thank you for reading and making it sound so sweet. Would like to ask devotees if you have any questions, any reflection, any takeaways, thoughts on this wonderful hearing. Like we said, it was a lot of information, a lot of download. I was so glad, but that Balabhadra Prabhu went slow because it was really a lot, but it was so nice to digest it. Yes. Yeah. Any questions, any comments, devotees, any thoughts, I'm just going down to see if I don't miss anybody. Let me see.
Pariksha just popped on.
Yeah. Oh, he did. Okay. Don't know what that means. He's going to say something. He's looking at you. Prabhu, can you, in a nutshell, give us or provide us with a summary or overview of what you have just read? Because it was so much.
Yeah, the essence is that Krishna, unlike Arjuna, never forgets. Now, that's one point. Arjuna, although he's a devotee, he's changing his body. And Srila Prabhupada gives that classic example that we all use whenever we're preaching to people, trying to explain things to them. That try to remember what you did the day before, exact same time. And people kind of go, like Prabhupada used the word dredge. We all know what that means. Like sometimes you can't remember something. So like I'm trying to remember someone's name and I just go through the alphabet until something rings in my mind, like, oh God. Our memory goes so quickly. And in Kali Yuga, that's one of the things that starts to go. Memory starts to go. It's not just old age, like in my case, getting older, or as Parikshit and I getting older. The memory starts to go down. But it just in Kali Yuga, it starts to go down. Because during the time of Krishna, and we know from the pastime of the Lord, when he was studying from his teacher with Balaram and his associates, they heard something in the daytime and immediately knew the whole thing by night. Remembered exactly. Because the whole Vedic culture was not based on these like physical books. It was the transmission from the spiritual master to the student. And he heard from his spiritual master, who heard from his spiritual master. Therein, verse 4:2, Evam Parampara, the Parampara system was there. So when that Parampara system, as Krishna, Prabhupada used the word detected, like a detective, he detected that it had become corrupted. So then it's time for him to come. And as Prabhupada is saying at the end of this verse we just read, whoever's reading on Friday, you'll get a chance to read that verse. Why Krishna is coming. Krishna comes, he doesn't have to come. See, killing the demons, he doesn't have to come. Nope, he doesn't have to come. Material nature can kill the demons. And Prabhupada said one time, one wind, like a tornado, can kill so many demons. Now, he said demons in a general sense of everyone, or a big wave, tsunami, like what happened, like say New Orleans and Katrina and all of that. So many people die. Or in, I forget where it was, big tsunami came and so many people died. So Krishna doesn't come for that. He comes to protect the integrity of his message, because the kings are supposed to do that. And unfortunately, right now, they're not doing it. They're not protecting the integrity of his message, whether it comes from the Bible, the Quran, or Bhagavad Gita. They're so busy in their leadership position and trying to hang on to their positions and causing so much mischief all over the world, not just one person, but practically, as Chanakya Pandit said, don't trust a politician. Such cricket nonsense. So Krishna cares so much about us. He gave us Bhagavad Gita. How? Imam vivasvate yogam proktavam aham avvayan vivasvam manave prahu imam vivasvakave bhavit. He gave it to the sun god millions of years ago. And the sun god, being a righteous person, he did his part to protect. And then it came down to earth and everyone did their part to protect. But at this stage, Kali Yuga is lost. So Krishna's establishing it again, the parampara with Arjuna. Sometimes people try to wonder, wait a minute, Arjuna is not in our line of disciplic succession. When you look in the, in the page of Bhagavad Gita, you don't see him like as one of the disciples. So Krishna started a new line to make sure that the Bhagavad Gita was clearly understood. He gave it to Arjuna directly, speaking to him, explaining to him. And at the end, Arjuna gets the whole understanding. And now we have the understanding coming down from the Acharyas, coming down from the Goswamis, coming down through Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the Srila Prabhupada, and hopefully we pray that we will follow Prabhupada's footsteps and protect this precious information. Don't distort it for your own purposes or our own purposes. We try to, like I used to do when I was a young devotee, try to modify it to suit my fallen condition, try to find some justification for my Maya. I could never find it. After all these years, I still haven't found it. I was looking. I know somewhere it's going to say, it's okay, Bhakta Ben, you can still smoke marijuana. It's okay, Bhakta Ben, you can still go and have girlfriends in Atlanta. I kept looking. I never found it, not to this day. So Krishna gave it to Arjuna. We have it now. And someone may say, well, Arjuna was there and he heard directly from Krishna, but we don't hear directly from Krishna. Total nonsense. Krishna is not different from his words in the Bhagavad Gita as given to us by Srila Prabhupada. So that to me is a little bit of the summary of that, what we read, text 2, Evam Parampara Praptam, up to this point, when Krishna is describing his transcendental nature. It's almost impossible to understand his nature, very difficult. And also even understanding the nature of the devotee who's with Krishna, like Arjuna, in a different capacity. What does that mean? I can't explain that to you. What was the capacity that Arjuna served Krishna in when he was at a different time? And it's also that devotees have their own incarnations. That's true. They have their own manifestations to serve Krishna in so many different ways. And it's also true that very advanced devotees do not care to go back to Godhead. They don't care if they go to hell. They don't care if they go to heaven. They just want to be wherever Krishna is. I just want to be with you, my Lord, serve you in some way. Some of Prabhupada's disciples, I used to pray to Srila Prabhupada, I just want to come back in whatever life and serve you. But Prabhupada would say, you should try to go back to Godhead. Don't take the risk of coming back here. And another devotee said to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, isn't it true that the guru has to come back and get the disciple if he doesn't go back to Godhead? Prabhupada said, it is true, but don't make trouble for the guru, causing him to come back. Take care of the business now. Go back to Godhead. So, anything else?
That was nice, Prabhu, how you said at the end, because, we have heard from our seniors, the sannyasis and gurus, the mood is that we should not aspire. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but our mood should be, to be engaged in service and not like running away back to Godhead. But I'm happy to hear how you put it from what Prabhupada said. That don't come back is very messy, so just try to go back,
He
because
said, don't take the risk.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, as a devotee, we're pretty much guaranteed at least to get, a good body, a human body, or in a good aristocratic family. But there's no guarantee if you come back like that, you're going to end up like Jud Bharat, who came back. There's no guarantee that we'll end up like that. So better we really just strive to serve Krishna, leave the rest to him. Don't worry about going back to Godhead, not going back to Godhead, going to hell, not going to hell. Just try to improve on our devotional service every single moment, every single day. Just wake up in the morning thinking, how can I improve my devotional service? Go to bed at night thinking, how can I improve my devotional service? And then all you have to do then is read the books, because the books will tell you how to improve your devotional service. That's why it's important. Read these books profusely. Get this knowledge.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Mother Gita. Please.
Hey, Mother Gita, Hari Bol.
Haribol, please accept my humble obeisances. I'm not sure if we have the time to ask a question.
Absolutely.
So sometimes, those who are too inquisitive, they ask this question when we refer them to the last page of introduction where the parampara is listed, and they say, but Arjuna's name is not there. So what should be the response?
Well, let me put it as simple as I can understand it. It says right here that when the succession was broken, Krishna restarted with Arjuna. More or less, it's like a new succession. The other one is still in place. Brahma, Gaudiya, Vaishnava Sampradaya is still flowing. But then Krishna has taken Arjuna almost to the side and given him the instruction. So then that's a whole nother line. He's not mentioned in the Guru Parampara that we have, but Krishna gave him the direct instruction through Bhagavad Gita. So that's generally how I explain it. According, like Srila Prabhupada was saying here, one of these purposes, I can't remember the exact spot, that he restarted or started again. The succession was broken, right? Therefore, the succession was broken. Isn't that how it says it? Verse number 2, right? Supreme science was thus received through the chain of the cyclic succession, and the saintly kings understood in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So going back to that purport, we don't have a lot of time, but Krishna restarted it with Arjuna. Trying to see where that statement is. The succession system. Yeah. This spirit is demonic because demons do not believe in God, but simply enjoy the property of the Lord. Since there is a great need, this is where Prabhupada is saying the Bhagavad Gita that he's presenting it based on the need. 5,000 years ago, it was detected by the Lord himself that the disciplic succession was broken, and therefore he declared that the purpose of the Gita appeared to be lost. In the same way, at the present moment, like that, there is no. But anyway, that's my understanding. Krishna gave it again to Arjuna, but the other line that we see in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita still continues. May not make a lot of sense, but that's as much as I can understand from that. Dear Krishna had a question. Is that a question?
Yes, he said, also, is it a correct understanding that the Parampara Sampradaya, as we know it, is actually for Kali Yuga?
For Kali Yuga?
It's a question he's asking.
Yeah, of course, because in that line you have the Goswamis, you have Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, you have Jagannath Das Babaji, you have Gaura Kishore, you have Srila Prabhupada. That's the line that we come in, and it's prominent in the Kali Yuga. There are some, apparently it looks like gaps in the years between some of the acharyas, because going back 5,000 years through that line that we see in the introduction, it doesn't add up to 5,000 years if you take it just from a mundane perspective, but the lifespans of some of those persons have to be taken into consideration. So this Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya is meant for Kali Yuga, absolutely. The understanding is not archaic or ancient, doesn't apply. Apply means It was like it says in Bhagavad Gita, Jnana Vijnana. Apply means, what does Krishna reveal to Anasuya about Krishna consciousness? What does Krishna reveal to Vishaka about Krishna consciousness? She will speak it in her own language. Like the young people now, they use the language like hip hop type language, right? So devotees put Krishna consciousness in their own language, but they don't change the actual essence of Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada put it in his own words. He prayed to Krishna, make my words suitable for their understanding. So Krishna expects us to take this knowledge with our devotional service, to have it revealed to us by him as a super soul, and whatever language we speak, whatever level of intellect we have, to just give Krishna consciousness. We have so many, not so many, but like, for instance, Gaurkishore Das Babaji, he was illiterate. So how was he going to get big philosophy? He gave simple philosophy. Bhaktisiddhanta was a great scholar. So like that. It is definitely meant for this Kali Yuga, this Guru Parampara that we have. My main point is that the teachings in all these gurus and acharyas are relevant. It's up to you how to present it. If you just go and quote Rupa Goswami to a guy on the street, he's going to look at you like you're crazy. Rupa Goswami said like this, blah, blah, anasaktasya bishaya, da, da, da. What? So you have to find a way to take Rupa Goswami's beautiful explanation of Krishna in your own words and present it with love and compassion. And you pray to Krishna to give you the ability to represent and speak nicely about him. The truth is, if you start to love Krishna first, work on loving Krishna, you can't help but want to talk about him. You won't be afraid. And then whatever the acharyas have given us, Rupa Goswami, all the different acharyas, you can find a way to present that understanding in this Kali Yuga.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for really explaining them so nicely. And thank you for the question to Dear Krishna and Mother Gita. Any other questions from devotees? Any other thoughts? Any reflections? Any takeaways? If there isn't, I'm just going down the list here. Okay, if there isn't, thank you all for joining us. And again, thank you, Prabhu, for such a wonderful reading and explanation. And hope to see all of you online tomorrow for Bhagavad Gita. Wait, tomorrow's CC. Tomorrow's Chaitanya Chaitamrita classes by Vishwagada Prabhu. Until then, have a wonderful evening. Vanchakapatibhyascha Kripasinavebhya Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo Priksha, Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna.
Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.